Today, we're going to do a little tournament recap video. Actually, a recap of two tournaments. Last weekend, I played in two local 1Ks hosted by the Legacy of the North, which is a great legacy community here in southern Ontario, especially though we do extend to the north of Ontario as well. Uh, in any case, there were two 1Ks held, one in Toronto and one in Kitchener, Waterloo, and I played in both of them. I finished 11th in the first one and third, I believe, in the second one. And so today we're just going to kind of go over the matchups that I played and the decks that I played. And then also, your boy was on a feature match. So there is actually a video for us to examine and watch together of me playing Blue Red Cutter. So we're going to start off with a bit of a tournament recap, and then we will conclude with a by watching and kind of reacting to the portion of the stream where I was featured. So without further ado, I was going to bring up the deck list that I played. Last time I did one of these recap videos, I had it all set up, right, where I had my cameras showing down. I was like showing you the paper cards. I would have liked to do that today, but I just didn't have the time to get it to get it all ready. And so we're just going to look at a Moxfield link here. So I'm going to bring up the deck that I played on the Saturday at the Saturday event first, and that was this version of Blue Red Cutter here. It's very similar to the Is It Cutter deck that I've been experimenting with on in my recent videos playing Cutter. I decided actually to not play Delvers this time, to go back to Sylvia's list. He's still been doing quite well with the same ish configuration that we actually began with, and I thought, well, like, let's set the Delvers aside for a day. Let's head back to kind of the roots of the archetype and see if it still holds up, right? Sylvia hasn't made that many changes to their deck, and so it must be serving them quite well. So we've got 10 creatures in the deck, though one of them is more of an interactive piece than a creature itself. We've got 2 copies of Tamiyo, 4 copies of Dragon's Rage Channeler, Murktide Regent. We've got 4 Ponders, 1 Preordain as the 5th Ponder, and then 4 Brainstorms to help kind of, dig for the cards that we need, but also to trigger our Corey Steel Cutter whenever that comes up. I love this card. This card is so much fun. We've got 5 baubles. One thing I learned throughout the weekend was that Urza's Bauble is not really, I don't think it should be in the deck. I wasn't playing Urza's Bauble in a bunch of the versions of Cutter that I've been experimenting with. Like in the past videos that you've seen, right? I think like maybe the first video I had Bauble in, and I don't think I was playing Bauble in Urza's Bauble, that is, in any of the other versions of the deck that I tried out on my channel. But Sylvia was still playing 1, and Andreas Peterson has been playing 2, I think, in their Is It Cutter deck. And so I was like, you know what? Let's give the 5th Bauble a fair shake. I've now shook it, and I don't think I like it. I would just rather it be a Preordain. I really think I would rather it be a Preordain in straight blue-red. Obviously having 5 baubles is really good, so you can go turn 2 Cutter plus Bauble. Like, that's like one of the best plays that the deck can do. But like, imagine if you've got a Cutter out, you've kind of ground out your hand, you don't have many resources left in it, you top deck an Urza's Bauble late in the game. Now you got to like pass the turn and hope there's another spell underneath it, right? Whereas if you top deck a Preordain late in the game, when each opponent's you and your opponent have kind of ground yourselves down to minimal resources, then like the Preordain can actually chain into another cantrip. And so I quite like the way that plays. And so I think that if I were to play Blue Red Cutter again, I think I do like Tamiyo. Tamiyo is great. It gives a grinding dimension to the deck, but I think I would be playing the 6 sorcery speed cantrips over the 5 baubles. Other than that, the other spicy one of we had in the deck was Spell Pierce. Spell Pierce came up fine in a couple of times that I saw it throughout the weekend. I think this Spell Pierce could also be a second Unholy Heat in the main deck if you're particularly worried about Nethergoyfs, etc. But yeah, other than that, 4 Wastelands, 4 Volks, Thundering Falls, Island, and then 8 fetches. I'm playing my Doomsday fetches here in paper just because I have like all these foiled fetches, and I think it's kind of funny. Like, a lot of people know me as a Doomsday player, so if I just lead on Polluted Delta, they might think that I'm on Doomsday. So I just play the same fetch lands that I do in my Doomsday deck when I'm playing Delver. I don't know if it actually matters. The sideboard that I decided to run with, what was this one? Oh, Surgical Extraction. We had Price of Progress, Meltdowns, Grafdigger's Cage, Force of Negation, Pyroblast, Surgical Extraction, another Unholy Heat. I was on Unlicensed Hearse, so you have Unlicensed Hearse plus Unholy Heat. Unholy Heat is a way to limit the powers of the Goyfs in the blue-black tempo matchup, which remains, I believe, the most challenging matchup for this deck. I realize that I might have been pointing at certain cards here with my face covering it up, so I apologize. It is an Unlicensed Hearse down here. So yeah, this is the deck that I registered for the Saturday event. I'm just gonna pull up my phone here because I took a couple of notes just to kind of work through the matchups. So the tournament didn't start out that great for me. I got paired against a friend who was playing. He's known for playing like mono black Pox decks, and this time they were on, like, I don't know if they were playing straight up Pox. I think they were on mono black Helm, which I think was actually like a pretty solid metagame call, right? If you're expecting to face Oops All Spells, blue black Reanimator, just like main decking your Leyline of the Voids is like really, really good. And if you just start with a Leyline out game one against Oops All Spells, like you might just be putting them onto the Boggart Trawler plan. And that's not good for them, of course, right? So I sat down against my friend. We sleeved up. I think I kept like a hand that was like pretty powerful. I had a Dragon's Rage Channeler, if I recall, in game one, with some cantrips to back it up. And I also had double Wastelands. I wasn't sure what they were playing. And I think like they led. Well, I basically lost to a Urza's Saga token with a Shadow Spear equipped to it. So I had double Wasteland in my hand, and my opponent him to Turok'd me on turn 2, and they hit both of the Wastelands from my hand, and then followed up with an Urza's Saga. And the Urza Saga, I think I bolted the first construct before it could be grown, but the second construct picks up a Shadow Spear. Then I just died to 4/4 beats, and I had a 4/4 lifelink beats. That is, I had ended up with like 2 Dragon's Rage Channelers out, and I played a whole bunch of cantrips. I think I had pitched my Brazen Borrower earlier in the game to a Force of Will to like stop a Helm of Obedience or maybe an opposition agent, some card. And so I didn't have the Brazen Borer left in my deck, but I could stonewall the Construct token by finding one of my 3 Murktide Regents. And I swear, guys, I had two channelers out. I was casting these cantrips. I was like binning anything that wasn't like a cantrip to help get to the Murktide. And my graveyard was like almost as thick as my deck by the end of the game. And I just never found that Murktide to park in front of the 4/4. And I just died to that 4/4. And there was just like nothing I really could have done. The fact that it had 4 power, I'd already burned the Borrower. I think I used like a bolt on an opposition agent earlier in the game. So I was like drawing to Unholy Heat ×1 or Murktide Regent ×4, saw half my deck and didn't see any of those cards. C'est la vie, these things happen, right? So I die to Helm in the first game. And by the Helm, sorry, I died to the Construct token in the first game. In game 2, things are off to a much more promising start. I think I had a Cutter plus Bubble make a Monk line. And I put on like a lot of pressure onto my opponent. I think I might have wastelanded them, forced or counterspelled a few key cards. And then eventually I kind of ran out of gas, and I was thought seized earlier in the game, and I had a Force of Will but no blue card left in my hand. And I think my opponent was in a position where they didn't really have anything. They might have had a Dothy Voidwalker. Or something like this, or maybe they didn't even have anything. I remember being in a position where my opponent was dead on the following turn. If I drew a blue card to pair with my Force for protection, or if I drew like any spell to prowess my monks, I could have gotten through enough damage to win. And it was like a really neat play by my opponent. They kind of were doing nothing for a while. I was beating them down, and then they had like Dark Ritual into Hardcast Leyline of the Void, and they played that in such a way like my Channeler wasn't delirious. I had 3 types in the graveyard, and so they got their Leyline out, which means that I couldn't go delirious with the Channeler to get the extra 2 damage I needed, so I had to draw a spell. Last card in my hand was Force of Will. I go to my turn. Any blue card, right, counters the Helm of Obedience that comes on the next turn, and any like any spell will pump the two monks that I have to get like the extra 2 damage I need across the finish line. I draw Polluted Delta for turn. I pass. My opponent plays an Ancient Tomb that they can use black mana off of an Urborg for, and they just jam Helm with the ability to activate it. And I was bluffing my blue card in hand, which was really just a Polluted Delta, and I just died to Helm of Obedience. Which was rather unfortunate. So I started out 0-1 in the tournament, and I was like, oh, this sucks. I thought the second game was certainly within grasp, and the first game would have been very easy if I could have just wastelanded that Saga. He never would have got to the constructs or the Shadow Sphere equipped to them, and I think I would have been in a great spot. But these things happen. Hymn to Turok is a great Magic card, and so I was put out of my misery rather early on by this mono black Helm opponent. Game round 2, I played against Saga Storm, Black Saga Storm. So lots of mono black Urza Saga decks. I remember having like really, really good kind of interactive hands in both games. I 2-0'd my opponent. I think game 1, I had a bunch of interaction with no threats. But I eventually found like a Dragon's Rage channeler. I then just like got there with the channeler with like a couple of forces or a daze in my hand. I remember siding in Force of Negation, some Grafdigger's Cages. I think I sided in Meltdowns to contend with their artifact plan. And game 2 was like very similar to game 1, where I just got like a couple of threats down and backed it up with like an insurmountable amount of counter magic. And I remember my opponent had like, there was this situation where my opponent, they had like an Urza Saga, but they didn't have enough mana to like activate it because I'd been like wastelanding them pretty aggressively, and they had to Dark Ritual in their end step to try to make a Saga token, and I just ended up like spell piercing the Dark Ritual, and then they couldn't make any Sagas, which was any construct tokens, which helped me ensure that their fair plan didn't allow them to win the game, because there was actually a point when I had like the combo covered from like, I had like 3 forces or something in my hand, right? And I just have like the combo covered from multiple directions. But in that particular case, the Saga actually could kill me. And so I felt that it was necessary to use the Spell Pierce to deny a construct token, just so that I could, survive enough turns to get the beats through with a channeler or whatever it was. All right, everybody. We are going to review a live coverage feature match from my Paper Legacy 1K last weekend at Cardboard Classics. Before we get into it, I need to do 2 things. The first is to shout out Legacy of the North more generally. There's this tournament series organized by Legacy of the North in Ontario, and there are many 1Ks every month. There's usually a Legacy 1K every weekend. Sometimes there are 3Ks, sometimes there's 2Ks. We've even had some 5Ks with some great attendance in Ontario recently. Ontario is a very, very good place to be if you enjoy playing Legacy, especially these days. Legacy of the North is great. They have this kind of running point system where you can accumulate points from your matches at your like local weekly events, but then also from the 1Ks and larger tournaments on the weekends. And then your best 10 results are recorded and contributed toward this point list, where at the end of the season, if you have the most possible points, then you get to submit a deck list, and the top 32 players of the points will then play off in an invitational. And the winner of the invitational gets to battle against the person who finished top in the points. And so that's like really, really cool. This season, I've been doing very well. I think I'm in 3rd place overall with my points so far. But I I thought I had a shot to make it to the to first place, but unfortunately these back-to-back 1Ks were won by the same player, Boston, last weekend, who's a great Magic player from Ontario, and I think with those two 1K victories, he has firmly placed himself in the lead of the points run. So we're gonna have to spike a 1K or something like this to even stand a chance. But I think all my 4-0s with at weeklies by playing Cutter just aren't going to cut it, as they say. The second thing we need to shout out is Ben Quam, who does Lazy MTG on YouTube. It's this channel right here, Lazy MTG. Do yourself a favor, take this mouse, go over here to the subscribe button, type in Lazy MTG and click subscribe. Lazy MTG is awesome. They've been putting together great live coverage of Paper Legacy action from Ontario with the Legacy of the North community. So if you like watching Paper Magic, if you're like me, if you enjoyed sitting down on a Sunday when you were younger and just watching Star City Games coverage of Legacy tournaments, be sure to drop Lazy MTG a follow because you're going to find lots of Paper Magic coverage. Sometimes it's live streamed. This event was live streamed last weekend, for example. Other times they won't live stream it. They'll have they'll like record matches from throughout the day, and then they'll kind of compile them into a video to post onto the channel so that you can enjoy watching these tournaments as they unfold. So yeah, I just had to shout out this because this looks sweet. Like this production is just awesome here. We've got, you know, sweet life totals, nice quality cameras for the players, clear visuals overhead, good sound. I mean, this is just like great to see this kind of effort being put into keeping Paper Legacy alive, which I just love. I love to see, and I'm happy to be a part of this, and I'm very happy to be able to show you this match, which was covered thanks to Lazy MTG. Without further ado, we're going to get into it. I just need to note one final thing before we do, which is that the cameras are actually swapped at the start. So these are my hands here on the left. Those are Wilson's hands there on the right. And this camera will maybe remain swapped like this for the first few minutes, but they will adjust it eventually. So just bear in mind that I am actually over here, and Wilson is actually holding this green life tracker over there. The matchup is Blue-Red Tempo. I was on the Cutter against Blue Artifact Stompy, and we'll see some spicy card choices in this brew of Wilson's, actually splashing black for Barrow-goyfs, which is pretty awesome, though thank goodness we don't see a Barrow-goyf. Without further ado, though, we're just going to kind of play through this, let the commentators talk. I'll kind of pause it every now and again to reflect on what I was thinking at the moment, or just to point out something funny. Without further ado, though, let's get right into the Legacy action here.
Buddy of mine.
Yeah, you know Wilson really well, so
Yeah, he's we've been friends since university, so it's been I don't know, almost 30 years.
wow, there you go, unreal. So there you go,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, but yeah, we worked on a deck together. So he's playing 8-cast.
Okay, beautiful.
I rolled.
Yeah. So.
He
but
rolled the 5.
He is splashing black for Barrow-goyf.
I rolled a
Okay, I was
7.
gonna say, is it just mono blue or is there?
No,
So
there's
there's
a-
splash.
Oh, yeah, the commentators there just say he's splashing black for Barrow-goyf, which is crazy. You'll love to see it. I don't love to see it. Barrow-goyf is one of the cards that Blue-Red Cutter struggles against the most, and so I really never like to see a Barrow-goyf come down against me.
There's
Okay,
a light
beautiful.
black because for Barrow-goyf because he felt that he needed a big dude to punch through stuff.
Yes.
And Barrow-goyf seems like it's kind of complementary with Emery because
Yes.
if it connects, then
Yes.
it feeds the graveyard for Emery.
Makes sense.
Right?
I'm
So
just
that's
I'm
the interaction.
sorry. I'm just confirming to make sure that the video and names are.
Yeah, so the Barrow-goyf, I mean, that is kind of cool. Like they were just saying, the Barrow-goyf can connect, fill up your graveyard. The Emery can then cast more artifacts from out of your graveyard, and the Emery itself also could potentially pump the Barrow-goyfs. And you're playing like enchantments in Urza Saga and all of these artifacts in your deck, so your Barrow-goyfs are going to be above average as well.
Right
I think it's
here.
the opposite way because
All right, so let's take a quick look at Wilson's hand here. We've got, I take to be an Otawara. I believe this is a Chalice of the Void. Not sure what that card is. We've got a Memory's Guardian, which is a 3/4 flyer for 5 with affinity for artifacts. And then there's a Underground Sea. Maybe one of these cards is a Force of Will, and I'm not sure what that one is, but I'm sure we will find out soon enough. My
So the right
hand,
side
on
is
the other hand.
Wilson's face is on the left, but then his hand's on the right.
And vice versa for Scott.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so we can tell Ben here, just to make sure.
All right. Now, my hand, I've got Force of Will, Daze, Brainstorm, Lightning Bolt, Fetch Land. I think this is a fine hand. It's a great hand to keep. It's heavily reactive. And so with Delver or Cutter style decks, sometimes you have the turn 1 Dragon's Rage Channeler or turn 2 Cutter into Bauble backed up by like Wastelands and Dazes and whatnot. And those hands tend to be the ones that I would prefer to have. But in this case, we've actually got a heavily reactive, more controlling style plan where we might want to, force a Chalice of the Void, daze something, maybe bolt an Emery, and then brainstorm to try to find like a Murktide region to jam like a big threat later on in the game. So yeah, a little sad that I don't have a threat because this hand would be like incredible, right? If one of those dazes was like a DRC or something, but that's not how it is, and we'll still navigate this game in a more reactionary manner.
Yeah, and Scott's on. It looks like Blue Red Delver.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we see a Lightning Bolt and a whole bunch of brainstorms and Force of Wills.
And Scott is on the play.
Yeah.
With a turn 1 Delta, pass a turn.
Yep. No reason to brainstorm on turn 1, I don't think. We'll pass with Daze plus 4 pitch Daze up, and then we've also got access to Lightning Bolt for like an EOT hit your dude. We can also then get our Thundering Falls in the end step to get a little bit of selection as well.
So just for
And we've got a brainstorm in case we get Thoughtseize. We don't yet know what our opponent's playing.
our producer staff again, Wilson is on the play area. Wilson is on the right. Just for everyone there as well too.
Yeah.
But in this case, we're just going for a Chalice on 1.
All right. Turn 1, Ancient Tomb, puts you to 18, cast Chalice on 1. We get to daze it. This is a great use of daze, I think.
All right.
Does set us back on mana, but I would prefer to have daze and then still have my force for something else down the line, rather than just force here, right? If Wilson was on the play and we had to force, then we're down 2 cards. Here we're only down 1, but we are back a land drop. But I think it's fine.
Wilson going to 18 from an Ancient Tomb.
Oh my goodness! Daze Force out.
Which Chalice art is this? I know someone was telling me about this.
That's the Ixalan.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's from the extra sheet in the latest Ixalan set.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you?
I'm gonna get to the volcanic island here. I'm gonna float a blue. I'm gonna daze.
Is it from like a certain pack you get it from? You remember? You guys remember?
I don't know these days.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either.
But it's from the Ixalan set.
Awesome. Okay, we have a Delta into a.
Float mana
okay.
for
So
days.
it was on the stack still. Good.
Yeah,
That's why.
float mana for days. Okay,
Makes sense.
fair enough. But I mean, like Wilson's ahead right now.
Now, do you entomb? No, I'm kidding. I know it's not blue black. I'm kidding. I know.
And then I decided to just use my mana that was floating here just to cast the Brainstorm now. I don't know if that's right, but I do have another fetch land in my hand, so I get to draw 3, to put 2 back, I get to draw 1 of them, and then shuffle away the worst card. You might say this is a bit of an aggressive Brainstorm, but I'm also thinking like, I don't mind filling up my graveyard a little bit for a possible Murktide Regent. And I just kind of felt like I wanted to be mana efficient here. The other option was to get like Thundering Falls, Surveil, and then daze the falls back, but then next turn we're playing falls again tapped, which I don't like. Whereas this way we get to cycle around our hand. If we find a DRC, that's like really good. If we don't find a DRC, we can play our other fetch, pass, and then get the Thundering Falls at the end of the next turn.
Yeah, brainstorm with the mana.
Yeah, but Wilson's kind of ahead at least on board, unless Scott draws a Wasteland.
So we drew another fetch, a Borrower, and another land. So this is a pretty bad Brainstorm because now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lands in our hand, and we would have liked to shuffle 2 of them away, certainly, but we're going to be forced to keep 1. But the Borrower is pretty sick.
And then he's back on board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Scott is actually known more for his Doomsday when he's playing out at Waypoint Games in Ancaster.
Oh.
Oh yeah, we are known as a Doomsday player. Usually, people see me and they know me as the Doomsday guy locally, or one of the two Doomsday guys. Goffman's also a great Doomsday player from the north. Um, but yeah, we've been doing very well with Cutter and Paper. I've been doing very well with Cutter and Paper, so I want to cut it up this weekend, and I think I did a pretty good job of cutting it up.
Okay.
That's more where we see him play, or what he plays rather.
Mhm.
So this is interesting to see on a completely different deck. But again, as we know, you don't
Wow,
always play
okay.
the same meta
So
deck.
Wilson must have gone to like second main, forcing Scott to use mana up.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
and then that's when he
Mhm.
started playing
And then Wilson deploys Opal, Bauble,
the
Pass.
rest of his stuff.
Yeah. Good catch. Yeah, we didn't talk about that. So
Pluto
yeah, it was still
Delta.
Wilson's turn at that point.
Yeah.
And
Surprised he
Send it
did not
back.
crack. So I guess he wants the artifacts for Marks to get Metalcraft.
could
So his
quite
hand-
possibly.
His hand must be kind of artifact light then.
Well,
And
I'm
Scott-
guessing the chalice also would have
Yeah,
helped in that respect. But yeah,
Okay, so that's the indestructible.
Okay, so here alarm bells start going off. This is the tapped indestructible artifact land that taps for Demir colors. And when I saw this, I was like up till now, I'm like, okay, 8 cast makes sense. Now I see this and I'm like, what could the black possibly be for? Baragoyf did come into my mind. And then also Orcish Bowmasters. Like I wasn't sure they could also be on like some kind of weird like LED Bowmaster deck here, perhaps. But yeah, so this is like this is not a common card to be played. It's a cool card. It dodges Wasteland. But yeah, I was kind of intrigued by this choice. And then we'll see another kind of off the wall card to follow up with here as well.
That we thought that would be good.
Okay, I
Because-
like it.
because,
It's indestructible. That's
it's-
that's
yeah,
a key
so
thing.
Yeah, it doesn't get killed by Wasteland. Doesn't get killed by Meltdown.
And right, and it's also an artifact, so it counts
Yeah.
for Metalcraft in this case.
Yes, exactly. And
All right, here's the Memory Guardian. I'm gonna look that old skipper up, I think. Look at this guy. 3/4 flyer for 5 with affinity for artifacts. Blocks Dragon's Rage Channeler. Doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. Kind of scared from the blue-red perspective in game 1, especially when you don't have blasts. But I'd never seen this card before. It was neat to see it cast, and I think this is it seemed pretty good against me, or I paid it some respect at least. Carrying on then.
there we go, the 3/4. This is why we like the deck now.
And now
Because it's
And now we've got the cameras properly situated as well.
Called again?
it's
I've seen
Memory's
this.
Guardian.
Right, that's what
It's
it was.
from Aether Drift, a common for Aether Drift.
Life totals were at 18 for Wilson. Sorry, 16 for
16
Wilson,
for Wilson.
and 19 for Scott.
So I could have like forced the Memories Guardian right now, but I've got a Petty Theft in my hand, and my opponent's already at 16 from tapping this Ancient Tomb twice. So I kinda am interested in actually Petty Thefting the Guardian, forcing my opponent to potentially tap their Ancient Tomb again, and then forcing it on the way back down the second time.
But yeah, this is the reason why we like this deck again. The 3/4. Again, it blocks
it's
Delver.
fat.
It blocks.
It's pretty big.
It blocks DRC.
Now we're gonna randomly choose a card.
Yeah. And it is it's the same casting cost as Thought Cast. So it's 4. Yeah. So you just need 4 artifacts, and it becomes 1U.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah,
For-
yeah. And that's basically what.
So Wilson spots the Petty Theft with the bauble, now maybe knowing the fate of his Guardian.
What happened? Well, in this case, he didn't have enough artifacts, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
Using the tomb for that, we're at 18 for Scott with a second fetch land being activated. What's he grabbing? I'm gonna guess the surveillance.
And this is also unboltable.
yes, that's 3/4. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 3/4. So that's what, like we. Well, I mean, I love this creature, and then I'm pretty sure he likes it too.
Yeah, no,
Seems like a pretty sweet card.
again, it's got a
Not sure how it. I guess it it's kind of funny because it dodges bolt, but it's also 5 cost. And the commentators didn't mention this probably because I'm playing blue red Delver, but it also dodges Fatal Push, which is kind of wild, right? The blue black tempo deck doesn't really have many good ways to answer this in the main deck aside from just parking a giant dragon in front of it. So actually, this is a neat card. I think it's got some purchase.
it's got a big
And it flies.
toughness. Oh, it's got flying. Oh
and
wow.
flies, yeah, that's why I'm saying it blocks Delver. it
Yeah,
blocks-
it's everything.
It blocks,
Oh, wow.
It blocks
What a
Dragon's
banger.
Rage Channeler. Yeah.
What a banger. That is Days from that's the SpongeBob Days I was thinking about.
Okay.
It's
Hell yeah, we got a one of SpongeBob days among our other dazes, because it sucks to get dazed, and if you're a legacy player, it probably sucks even harder to get dazed by one with Mr. Krabs on it. I also love SpongeBob, and that secret lair also came with a Knight's Whisper, which is occasionally played in Doomsday. So if you ever see me rocking a Knight's Whisper, in Doomsday in the future, you know that in paper there's going to be a Squidward on that fucking Knight's Whisper.
Krusty or not. Oh my god. Yeah.
That can't be Krusty the Count because that's a different franchise.
No, it's no not Krusty Krab. Oh my god, what's his name? Mr. Krabs. I know he's a crab.
Well,
One of those crab guys. Yeah. So Scott's at 18 from
Scott
those
is also
double
very
fetch.
defensive. Like all of
Yeah,
his,
very.
other
Yeah, we're playing the Delver control hand here, which sometimes doesn't work out.
than the Brazen Boar that Wilson saw, like everything is a counterspell or removal, and
Yeah.
that doesn't remove the 3/4.
Yeah. Yeah. What you double bolt this thing?
Yeah.
We're going to combat. We're doing it. Get in the red zone.
I'm just gonna take the 3 here, and then I'm gonna bounce in end step. It's just so that he can't redeploy the creature again this turn. I'd rather him redeploy it next turn.
Scott is taking. It's a 3/4, right,
Yeah,
Steven?
3/4,
Yeah. So
yep.
Scott's taking 3, going 15.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here comes Urza Saga.
This one you don't like to see though.
Saga for turn.
Pressure's piling
Yeah.
on.
This is wow. This is very interesting matchup right now because again, 8 cast is kind of an outlier.
Yeah, that's why we decided
right?
to play this deck.
Yeah.
Because it's
Cracking the bauble here.
it's not very popular at the moment.
Mhm.
So then we figure a lot of decks they are they're more black based than red based.
Yes.
So
yes.
so we're thinking there should be a lot less meltdown.
And now Wilson knows about my days and my borrower.
Yeah. Good.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Fair
then,
enough.
and
Yeah.
then doesn't
very
really
true.
rely on the graveyard. So that's why it's a good time for this deck. That's what we think.
100%. Oh,
I'll petty theft it now. I have to force it on the way back down, I think. Because now with the 3/4 plus like the looming constructs, things get a little worse for us. There's another world where we save the petty theft to bounce one of the constructs, but then we're still kind of up shit's creek without a paddle against the Memories Guardian. So yeah,
end of turn bouncing the
Yep. Which is fine.
dude, drawing a card.
it also forces another Ancient Tomb activation, which I like to stress here.
Then you can draw a card, Scott.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got. So we have a force in the hands.
I mean, if he forces the Memories Guardian,
Yeah,
I think Wilson would be super happy.
yeah, he's
because like
he
the
will be happy.
Yeah, because
Oh yeah, because
I'm gonna do it.
yes, from a saga. Yeah, you're right. The saga is
yeah.
definitely gonna help out
Yeah.
to play around that
I
kind
mean,
of stuff.
no matter what, it's a 2/4. Oh, is that Tamio?
This is Tamio.
Okay.
Alternate arts, full art looking one. Yep, Straga's still at 1. Can't
Tamio
construct
in.
yet, but Wilson has drawn. So like, he's got a lot of lands, but again, does help with the artifact count, so it makes the constructs a little bit. Oh, actually, that's even good too, right? It also makes the constructs just like it's a land drop, and also makes your construct larger.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, it's sweet. The fact that these play around Meltdown is like pretty awesome too.
Wilson's taking 2, going to 14. What's he casting?
No, I think it's just making a construct.
Oh, making the construct.
Yeah, so he's played another land. So he's played another the indestructible land.
But he used the tomb for the.
Yes.
So this is a nice play too, right? You make, I mean, like, look how mana efficient this is. You make your construct, which pumps your Memories Guardian to be able to be cast off 1 mana, which lets you hold up your Mox Opal to play around the days that he revealed off of his bauble the turn prior. So this is like a pretty sweet like turn where he's kind of squeezing all the juice that he can out of his cards here. Wilson is.
The cost, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
he's at 14.
Yeah, so he's basically trying to reduce the cost
Yep.
played again.
Exactly.
2 spells a turn.
And there's the
There we
force.
go.
And I'm going to force pitch the days. Wilson knows about the days, so he's going to continue to play around it. So I'm happy pitching it here. Memories Guardian to the bin.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah. You have to.
But
you
I
have
think
to.
Wilson's happy with that. 'Cause
Yeah. So Wilson's at 14, Scott's at 14. It's 14 all. Mox Opal still in play.
And another one.
He's going to tap the Mox Opal, and now he's going to play a Soul Guide Lantern. Man, if it was another one, that would have felt really bad. But Soul Guide Lantern, still pretty bad too. It's going to come in, and it's going to wreck our graveyard and keep us away from Dragon Range, which is something that we're trying to look for here.
And Soul Guide Lantern.
Okay. Fair. Just
Yeah.
remove a card.
So looking at this is the graveyard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
This
then
is the
he can always draw a card from it. Right?
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst.
Can draw a card. He can also just nuke my graveyard to stop me from playing the dragon, which is the way that I beat these constructs.
He has to remove a card.
So what you?
So
Oh,
the
yeah,
card
yeah.
has to be removed,
I think he was
so-
just giving it back so he could say,
Yeah.
okay, you take the card out of your graveyard.
Yeah,
Haha.
yeah, and it's better. You're better off always to take the instant or sorcery, just because there's Murktides
Yes,
in the deck.
100%. Especially in his blue red temple decks, you have to.
Yeah.
So he got rid of it, not on his upkeep, which is okay.
No,
Just fair.
I mean, you probably want to do it before he gets the untap. So
Before
you
the untap, okay.
Before the Murktide comes in.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. That's what I was even thinking, like do on the upkeep of.
This was a clutch draw. This was a very, very clutch draw. We did not have that wasteland in our hand, and that was very important to our success, or at least our not dying immediately. Right? If next turn he gets to go construct into like equip Shadow Spear or something like that, like we're so dead, right?
Yeah.
Of Scott's turn there, just so launching cards across the table.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Taking 0.
Oh, okay, that's a very timely draw by
The wasteland, yeah,
Very timely.
with the wasteland.
He's all tapped out there.
Yeah.
Crack the clue instantly, because if we draw like a Dragon's Rage Channeler off of it, we would like to cast it to start being able to race this big dummy that remains, the big old construct.
Clue, draw a card. This is
We draw our own Mishra's or Urza's Bauble.
his owners is Bob was right. They play this because of the Corey
Yes,
Steel Color,
Steel Cutters,
which
yeah.
we'll hopefully we'll see at least once, so we can talk about it at some point.
Yeah, very strong with the baubles. So he might actually hold it. But
Yeah.
then if he wants to like see better cards, then you could So you play right now.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, cannot draw the extra card.
Yeah, I
right
was just
now
gonna say
to
that'd be-
turn on
Yeah.
the Tameo
that would have been great.
because the draw is a delayed draw effect.
Yeah.
Good old
So yeah, we're gonna use. So I could have held it for a cutter, but I also like playing this, using it on their turn, drawing off of it in our upkeep, drawing for turn, and then attacking and cracking the clue to flip the Tameo. And so that's why I kind of delayed and decided to play the Urza's Bauble in this particular spot.
mechanics.
Wait till later.
Yeah.
Wasn't also oh man, Portent also Ice Age?
Yes.
Oh right, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's delayed.
Big old attack here for 1, 2, 3, 4.
And-
So Scott's taking
the
1,
construct's
2,
actually a 4/4.
4. Yeah, so Scott's going
yeah,
to 10
feet.
on that one, and now we get the bobble.
Mhm.
What's he gonna show
I
him?
wish people played more the other bauble, the Mishra's Bauble instead.
I wonder if he does have them
Okay.
in the deck. It's
Because-
Another C in hand.
It
Because
might be
it's
the
just like
complementary.
the effect is a lot easier. You just show.
Yes, you show. Yeah, this stock one on my deck. Instead of
Yeah,
having to
instead
always
of having to
randomize your
it's-
hand
yeah,
and figure out
exactly.
what's being shown.
Yeah.
I think it's complementing the other. Again, it could be
Yeah.
6 baubles. It could be 4 Mishras,
Okay, so
2
Tameo
Ursa.
could flip right now because he's
Yep.
drawn 2 cards already.
Yep.
Tameo could flip.
Right. We'll see what.
We drew the Brainstorm for turn, which is sweet here. We're going to combat, and then Wilson is holding on to his Underground Sea here. I think I noted that they had an Ottawara in their hand they still have yet to use, and I think Wilson was contemplating whether or not to Ottawara my Tameo right now before I get the clue. It's probably good that he doesn't, because I could have brainstormed in response to the Ottawara, then countered your uncounterable bounce by flipping my Tameo. So I think the patience that Wilson exhibits here is really good.
See, actually, here I'll let you see Wilson's deck. We just got deck lists, so we're gonna take a quick peek. And yeah, my assumption was actually it's only where's the Urza's Bauble? Where I see Mishra's Bauble. Where's the Urza's Bauble? Oh, it is. So it was 1 Urza's and 4
Oh, okay.
Mishras in this case, right? So
Yeah. So he is attacking on with the
the construct and with
No,
the
And now we go for the Brainstorm to flip the Tameo. And if he goes for the Ottawara on the Tameo now, we can crack the clue to flip the Tameo. But at this point, he just lets Tameo flip and lets it tick up.
with the
And then
Tameo,
bounces.
and then, so he's going for the flip.
so no damage will be dealt from this Tameo.
Yeah, making a clue.
We get the Dragon here, which is pretty sweet. And then we just have Force again with another Tameo to pitch. We've got Lightning Bolt for a potential Emery, and then we've got 2 lands.
You know what?
Yes.
Thank goodness it deals no damage, because that would
Oh,
just like
yeah.
if it dealt damage and was able to do all these effects, good luck.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
This thing would have been way out of hand.
Yeah.
We're flipping Tameo.
Okay, which is fine. But
Yeah.
I think Wilson's I think we saw an Ottawara in hand, so
Yeah.
probably gonna get bounced.
Pump the Tameo. fetch.
Oh, on Wilson's side.
I shouldn't have fetched here. I think I thought I could play Murktide, but I just can't.
Scott
Yeah.
goes to 9 from a Flooded Strand. I want to say it's a Flooded Strand. Probably one of those
But I've got
fancy
the
art.
clue, so it's fine. I think to just fetch now. We can crack the clue with the mana
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
we
it's a Flooded
want.
Strand.
He might be playing out a second Tamio because I thought I saw a Tamio.
I could play a second Tamio here as well, but I think that's my blue card for my Force of Will.
Unless he brainstormed it away.
Oh, quite possibly, yeah. Because what other one drops would you play? Maybe Dragon's Rage Channeler? Because he tap the he searched for the Volk, right?
Yeah.
The one Volk
searched
is
for
for
the
the
Volk.
brainstorm.
Oh, he just passes. Okay.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to get out of the way.
I mean, the hand gesture, if it looks like he just passes.
Yeah.
But unless it wasn't declined
Oh,
to shuffle.
maybe he was saying
like shuffle.
to cut my deck
Yeah.
situation. I think he might Murktide. Oh, he can't Murktide. He's
Doesn't have enough.
one card.
Yeah, I think I thought I could Murktide for some reason, for some silly goose reason, but I can't. So we'll have to play it a little slower here.
Short Murktide. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that look there to the left was the look of someone who's kind of sad that they can't jam a dragon.
He's realized now. He's like, darn, I could have had a Murktide here.
Yep.
But yeah, it was good that Wilson had that timely Soul Guy Lantern to at least
Yeah, try
stifle
to
the
delay
Murktide
it. Yeah.
coming out here.
Oh, okay. So here we go.
There, right, you were speaking about the Ottawara. Here it is. You have
Yeah,
Stifle?
try to
No
bounce.
Stifle. It is in the hands.
Okay.
Throwing cards down.
But I think Tamio's effect still triggers even though it's no longer there, right? So
Yep, it's still
he-
exactly the delayed trigger of the -1 plus,
Yeah.
-1 plus, -1 minus O.
so
we're hitting
still
for-
gonna deal 4.
Yeah, it would be 4 damage in this case.
Going
So
to
the
Hopefully
-1.
five.
You remember?
Yeah.
I did not remember. That is a 4 written right there. I did not remember. Good to remember, though. Tamio goes left, leaves the battlefield. Remember that trigger because creatures still get -1.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's-
Scott should be at 5 life.
Yeah, Wilson did flash a 5 damage, but again, there's
Yeah.
-1, so he is only going to 5 in total.
Yeah.
Like 5 life.
Yeah. So Scott should be at 5 right now.
Yeah.
And Scott all of a sudden has a really good hand.
Yeah, I mean, again, now he has the
Now look at this hand. I don't know how, right? We just drew a couple extra cards. We drew Ponder Unholy Heat for a turn, off the clue into natural draw. And now it's like we can cast Ponder, complete Delirium, kill the construct with Force Backup, and then on the following turn we can play Murktide Regent. Wow.
Alright,
And
now
I
he has
don't know
Tamio.
what that full art card is, but
Ponder.
He's lean back.
yeah, and he does not have Delirium.
Oh, I think
So
it's a
Unholy-
Ponder. Take a Secret Layer Ponder. If I'm
Yeah.
mistaken. The far left there, yeah.
He does not have Delirium yet. He needs a creature or a sorcery to
Yes.
get Delirium. So that
Well, that Ponder would help with the sorcery, and then
yeah, and then he has Unholy Heat for the construct.
Yep.
So Wilson's drawn kind of. Oh, that is a Ponder. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So Wilson's drawn kind of poor. In the past couple draw steps after his saga got
do we
destroyed.
double? No,
So this hand,
that's so bad.
there was Bolt, Bauble, plus Wasteland. I like the Wasteland because it beats a potential Urza Saga, but the other two cards just aren't that good right now. So I actually shuffle this.
Double bolt the construct. I would shuffle that. Yeah.
No, but he's got Unholy Heat. So right
Yeah,
now,
that's
so
what I
he's
meant,
got
yeah.
he's got Delirium now, and then so
Yep. Now he has Delirium. Yep.
Yeah.
So now he's safe. It deals 6, right? Unholy
Yes.
Heat. Keyframe of 6 or 7. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
6.
if he has another land in hand, what he could do is just Unholy Heat first, and then
play Murktide.
play Murktide.
Yeah.
And then Wilson.
And notably, the Wasteland doesn't let me do that, right? If I draw the Wasteland, I can't cast Unholy Heat or Dragon with it. So, yeah.
Deep trouble.
Whereas if I draw a land off that Ponder, like a Volk, then I get to do what they're discussing.
Yep. There's the Unholy Heat. Delirium.
Oh, Metallic
what does-
Rebuke. He drew
Oh,
Metallic Rebuke.
does he have it?
Oh. Hardcast Force of Will.
Wilson's going to 12.
12.
Scott's at 5.
Hard cast Force of Will onto the Unholy Heat, and this is if this resolves, it's really, really good for Wilson and very, very bad for me.
Hardcast Force of Will.
Hardcast Force.
Okay.
Wow. Oh, and a Force back.
But we get to
Scott goes
Force back now, pitching the Tamio.
to
Scott
4.
goes to 4. Okay.
Oh, wow. Wilson is at
12.
12.
Should be at 12.
Yeah, he's at 12. And now we're going to play the Tamio we
Tamio.
know about.
Tamio down.
So
So the boards are reset, and we have a Tamio on Scott's side.
And
Which is like, imagine if Wilson just drew Barrogoyf right there. We would be in a very bad spot, having already used our Brazen Borrower.
Looking
and
pretty
they
Oh, an Emery. I like
yep,
that.
yep. But the Murktide is coming.
Yeah,
next
it's gonna have to
turn.
come. He has to give his Emery haste so we can bring back the Soul Guide Lantern. I know it's not gonna happen, but yeah.
Well, I mean, he does play. Wilson does play the line of spur.
Are the boots in here somewhere?
Yeah,
oh,
the boots,
they're
the boots
yes,
are in here,
yeah.
but then the Saga never got the trigger.
Yep.
So
There's double. Okay, bolt on the Emery. Yeah.
yep.
And
Bolt on
then
the Emery.
Bolt the
Murktide.
fish,
Yep.
jam the dragon.
There's a big-
Yeah,
One,
it's- would
two,
you full size it? Do you
three,
assume your
Yeah,
opponent
you
has
just
two,
four,
full size it.
do you assume your
five.
opponent has two Ottawars? I don't think you assume they do, right?
I think
you just pump it.
No, you just
We go all in here because we have a Brazen Borrower, and if he has to tap the Tomb, he goes to 2 and then dies to the Borrower. I think I like just jamming a full strength Murktide. It's also like, you might need to park it in front of constructs or something if the game does develop into like a weird kind of standstill.
go for the win now.
Yeah.
Win as fast as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
this is a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, max
Right?
it up.
You just
Make a
force Wilson to have an answer right now or die.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, this blue-red deck is looking pretty. I mean, there's one spell pierce, so that's the fancy little maybe one
There's
of.
no Corey Steel cutters. Oh, there are.
There are, yeah.
Okay, we just
Yeah, there's
Draws
uh,
Ancient Tomb
funky
and
order.
scoops it up.
It's all good yet. And Wilson scoops it up. We're going to game 2.
Yeah,
with
it's
Scott on the win.
unfortunate that the child's got countered, but that's the that's what happens when you're
Yeah,
on the draw
that's it.
against
That's
a
it.
Days deck.
Yeah, because I was going to say too. It was Scott being on the play, right? That
Yeah.
got there, right?
Well, I mean, he also had a force of will.
So I'm going to board in Meltdowns for the artifacts, obviously. I'm going to board in Pyroblast because he's playing that Memories Guardian. I think Pyroblast generally good against blue artifacts. And then I'm also going to board in the Unholy Heat because I saw black, and black could signify Barrogoyf, and Scott does not like Barrogoyf. I think I also bring in Price of Progress because he was parking a bunch of those tapped lands, those artifact lands, and then also is like Ancient Tombing himself. So I actually think that in some spots, like, well, my life was low in this game. In some spots, Price of Progress could be sweet.
But
Yes, yeah. If,
it
later
wasn't going
on,
to resolve
yes.
anyways.
Yes,
but then like
in the end.
the days made it hurt more than usual, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about Wilson's because he's going to be on the play now. Do you still keep the Chalice against the deck that's?
I would.
mean,
He's on a play. I would keep it for sure.
100%, right? Yeah.
100%.
Is there anything in Wilson's board that you would bring in, being on the play? Is there anything crazy different?
Maybe the dismembers, just so you
Yeah.
alleviate the pressure. But other than that,
Dismember's like good, but I also feel like if you're ever taking 2 damage off of it, like you don't want to dismember a monk token, right? Murktide's usually bigger than it. So like the only other target you actually have for your dismember is like Dragon's Rage Channeler, which you could park a Memory Guardian in front of anyways. So I'm not 100% sure if you want the dismembers here. I definitely want Blue Elemental Blast. So like those would be the first 2 things I would be bringing in for sure.
Needle doesn't
if
matter.
If he has red blast, I would bring if it was
Yeah.
red blast instead of blue blast,
Well,
I would bring it in.
I would say, would you bring in the blue blast for the Corey Steel Cutters, and because
Yes.
the blue red deck, that you can just blast all their red spells that they're gonna like.
Yes.
VRCs?
Perhaps, but then it kind of conflicts with Chalice.
That is true. That is true.
So that's assuming Chalice is going to resolve or stay
Yes.
on the board,
That's what I mean too, right?
right? So
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's why I'd rather just have dismember. It's
'Cause-
just a catch-all.
Even if Scott does cast Meltdown, he still can't blue blast in response with a Chalice on board because we'll still get countered in
Yeah.
the end, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I see Days is coming out for Scott. There is there anything in? I think. Well, sorry, I'm rephrase that. What are you bringing in Scott? I see the.
I cut Dazes, I cut Urza's Bauble, I cut Spell Pierce, and maybe one other thing I can't remember.
Meltdowns.
The meltdowns, maybe the cages.
Do you bring the Force of Negations in against the turn 1 Chalice deck to counter it turn 1, extra counters, or is it more for a combo?
I tend to do that. Like I would do that against Mono Red Stompy. But here, like the Meltdown's so much better against this deck than it is against Mono Red Stompy that I think I'm fine just having 2 Meltdowns, 4 Forces.
Matchup,
I think that's more against combo.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Because it doesn't counter like a turn 1 Emery, or
Yeah.
it doesn't counter like there's a lot of things it doesn't counter in the deck.
Do you bring in the extra Unholy Heat because of the large constructs and the 3/4s you can't kill with bolts? Maybe you even cut the bolts. Oh no, we're bringing in.
No.
Okay, no. I mean, again, you are an egg.
Okay.
Some opening
I'm
hands
just
here.
I just skipped ahead a little bit to skip over the shuffling, and we're gonna look at the opening hands here
We'll see if we can
for
do a
game
chalice
2.
on. How many chalices he is playing the four of, right? Yeah.
Four.
Okay,
But we
awesome.
were thinking about cutting it down to 3.
Yeah.
Because a lot of games you only want to see one,
Yeah, you don't
and
want to play
then
all four.
because like if it gets countered first, then you just whatever move on
Yeah.
in life, right?
Yeah. I see a C, an Urza Saga, an Emery.
Emery, Underground Sea, Urza Saga, Memory's Guardian, Otawara. I think these are 2 baubles. We've got a sick hand. We've got Dragon's Rage Channeler, Force of Will, Flooded Strand, Pyroblast, Force of Will, Pyroblast, Quarry Steel Cutter. So again, we have the Force of Will in hand for the turn 1 Chalice, which is excellent. And then we've got 2 things to kill blue things, namely Emery in Pyroblast. And then we've got a Dragon's Rage Channeler as a threat. And if we find another land, we've got the Quarry Steel Cutter.
Is it Otawara? Is that? He's not playing Grindstone, right? I'm not going.
No.
Okay, let's
There's
say
no
grind.
binder.
Maybe.
No,
Oh, it's
no,
a
it's a
bobble.
couple
It's a
baubles, I
bobbles.
think.
Yeah.
And a saga.
We're on the play. Bobble. Bobble.
Emery.
Emery.
Here we go.
That's a
Turn
solid,
1 Emery.
And that's a
It-
there's a lot
oh,
of
they need a
blasts.
Force of Will. Interesting.
No, he's got 2 red blasts.
Oh, it's your red.
Yeah, we hold the Force for Chalice or something else that matters. We blast the Emery because it's blue.
Oh,
Opponent
right. I
has
didn't
2
see it.
red
Right.
blasts.
I thought they're. I mean, even if they're bolts, it's still fine. Right. So yeah, he's in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Oh,
And that's
okay.
one fetch land. Yeah, it's one fetch. Land.
Opponent has like all.
We did draw Murktide Regent for turn, which was another 2-drop, kind of the worst thing we could have drawn.
Again,
All
a
gas.
lot of control.
Scott goes a 19.
No threats, but all control.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2 forces
literally.
and like 3 blasts or something like
Yeah,
that.
I
That's
think.
crazy.
But again, like you have to do like was again this is the only land, right? So I don't see. I
Yeah.
didn't see a way.
I love Paper Magic. Look at Wilson here. He's just got his hand on this Emery. He knows it's going to die. This is the kind of experience I look for in Paper Magic. I love just goofing around with my opponents, having a good time. That's really missing on the Magic Online experience. Like, you don't get these little moments, like him just looking at me being like, it's dead, right? Like, look at his eyes. He knows it's dead. I'm just not paying attention to what's happening, but it is dead.
Wasteland. Oh, Wilson's like,
Yeah, Wilson
he's like, he's
knows.
gonna bolt it. You gonna bolt
Yeah.
it? I loved it. Lip reading. Yeah,
Like, this is just, I love Magic.
there we go.
Oh,
so he
man.
so Wilson did bring in dismembers because he
Yep.
built one.
Which is fair.
Blast
Donatard,
the fish.
Ancient Tomb. Okay. So he does have the
Might-
saga.
Might have wanted to crack the baubles.
Draw some
Unless,
cards.
unless he needs Metalcraft for some reason.
I don't. Unless he
We'll
wants his tokens to be large.
Yeah,
His
we'll see.
construct tokens.
Oh, 3 mana. Is this a?
Oh,
is
also
this a
because
Coif?
it helps with the. No, it's
Oh,
your.
memory.
Guardian.
So, yeah, so he doesn't need it for some reason.
Yeah. Again, just to make it
Yeah.
cheap, right?
Yeah.
Now he's gonna. Okay, now he's gonna crack.
I
it
mean,
now.
again, just gonna red blast it.
Red blast. Yeah. He's like, okay, that resolves, no problem.
I mean, you got to burn through his red blast somehow, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's what we do is just put.
So here we have like a choice, right? Opponent played a 3-4. I have an option, right? I drew Meltdown for turn, which is an exceptional draw for later on in this game. It doesn't look very good given what Wilson has now, but in a game where sagas get developed, it becomes exceptional, which is why it's in the deck. We can either go like Dragon's Rage Channeler here, pass the turn, eat it for 3 to the Memory's Guardian, or we can Pyroblast our opponent's creature right now. I opt for the Pyroblast, and that might seem strange, but my opponent has, I think, 1 card left in hand at this point. They decided not to crack their baubles on their turn, meaning that they've only got 1 card in their hand for my turn, which means that they can't have like a Force of Will or something, right? So if I just blast this now, it's dead. I still conserve my life total at 19. Recall, I have Price of Progress in my deck as well. And then also, like, what if I play DRC, he, like, hits the baubles, draws, like, a Metallic Rebuke, plays something else, passes the turn, then I blast and he, like, rebukes or forces my Pyroblast. Now I have to burn my force to make sure that the 3-4 dies, which I don't quite like. I would rather hold this force for something more potent down the line. And so I opt for a Pyroblast here.
Oh my goodness, and a meltdown. All right.
Oh wow, this is.
You know, what would make his draw better would be like a Delver on turn 1 or Dragon's Rage Channel on
Yeah,
turn 1.
to have to
And then
back
and
up
then
as well. The
Wilson
threat.
be really dead.
Yeah,
That's
I mean, I had the DRC on turn 1, but you can't let them untap with the fish, right? They flip the Chalice of the Void, so you have to blast the fish. And then I think potentially a turn 2 Channeler would have been fine, but I think also, right, like I do have Price of Progress in my deck. That's like a very real way to win this game, given that he's tapping this Ancient Tomb a bunch again.
Well,
So far.
I find decks like Wilson's deck, like these A casts.
Yep.
Like they just need wastelands. Just disrupt.
Just to
disrupt
even
the
have them too,
opponent.
right?
Take a peek.
Yeah, because like in games like this, like you can't function. Like there's no wastelands in the
Yeah.
deck.
Corey's Steel Cutter.
I mean, like I
Oh,
think I
there's
just
a
want to
Corey.
play some amount of
Some
wastelands.
kind of thing, right? Yeah, to be able to do something. Would you maybe cut the black for the wastelands so you're not reliant on Underground Sea? Or is the Barrel Goyf is that much better that you should be playing Barrel Goyf as well, or like having
I'm
black?
not sure. I'm not. We're not.
Again, we're still
actually
going
not-
through the
yeah.
iterations, right?
Yeah, we're still not sure if the Barrel Goyfs are worth it because it is 3 casting,
Yep.
right? So
There's
DRC
so
there.
he wanted to just keep himself available to blast. I guess it makes sense. You don't want to slow down your opponent's.
Yeah.
Sorry, you want to slow down your opponent as best as you can to try to maybe stabilize or try
Like,
to find
Again, yeah, with the Price of Progress in the deck, I kind of like just not taking 3 damage
the
randomly.
second land, and we haven't found that yet.
Yeah.
Now we play DRC because
And now it's a
Wilson
lot
knows
easier to
the-
find a second land because he's
Yeah.
probably just going to counter anything.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
anything
That's
just to surveil.
exactly. He's like, oh, is there? Does he have a?
Oh my God, the hand's so reactive.
Oh, he
That's
has a Force of
insane.
Will.
He's
Wilson
got
has a
2
Force.
Force of Wills.
No, Wilson in
he's
this case.
Wilson's Force.
And here's Wilson for a Force of Will pitch a Memories Guardian, which is like quite interesting actually, right? Because like the Memories Guardian just blocks the Dragon's Rage Channeler. This is a little bit of an aggressive play, I think, on Wilson's part. Like I have the option to force back here, but I'm fine just him to two-rocking my opponent for 1 mana here and just passing with double force up. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning is here, but I feel like this card that's pitched eats the Channeler anyways. Then like, I'm already down 2 blasts. There's only 1 left in the deck. Then the Force of Will gets targeted at the Meltdown to protect the constructs down the line. But in any case, I think Wilson might have thought that if I can stymie this, right, like this can maybe help me find, like clearly I've been playing on 1 land for the past 3 turns. So if I force this, it might keep me, that is, from getting to my second land drop for the dragons and so on and so forth. So this is a potentially an aggressive Force of Will, but there's some respects in which it could be considered like a pretty nice Force of Will as well, I think, like taking me off this, getting rid of my extra selection from my counter spells and so on.
Yeah, going
Wow.
to 17 off the force there.
That is aggressive.
Let's
So
see.
he's thinking that his constructs aren't going to live, right? Like
Okay.
this is the play that
Yes.
he's thinking that.
Did you try another one? Another. I keep forgetting these cards. I'm sorry. The creature. Oh, another saga. Okay, maybe that was it.
Saga number 2.
What's that thing called again?
Okay, so Wilson takes 2, go, and makes a 1/1.
Yeah, I mean, and
Oh,
casts.
Okay.
Oh,
Emery.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so you need
All
the
right.
Metalcraft. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
You're gonna force it. You're gonna let it.
That's fair.
survive.
Now he has a 2-for-1 because he's burned through all the
Yeah.
burned through all the
I know
all the blasts, right?
you have to now. Now he's on the Scott is on the fence to force a will. Scott's going to 18 with a.
So I force pitch Force here. I don't know if that's right. I could have either force pitched Dragon or force pitched Brainstorm and helped access to my other force. My thought was that I can use the Brainstorm to find another land, which then fuels the Dragon, and I can melt down these constructs. But the other hand is, right, there's a Saga at 2 here. There's many 1-drop artifacts that can stymie my dragon plan. So there's like another world where you force pitch Murktide here and hold Brainstorm Force in hand. I decided to just burn my Force of Wills and keep Dragon plus Brainstorm. But this is one move where, like I could have made a different choice in the same way that I could have made a different choice with playing the Blast before the Channeler.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think that's
it. You
okay.
think that's fair to
think that's okay.
to pitch the force of will as well.
Yeah, I mean he can take care of the constructs. He's gonna eat a lot of damage. He's gonna eat
Yeah.
a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Before if he wants to get max value.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but
Sure.
I don't know. I don't
Brainstorm into Lightning Bolt, land, or maybe we already had the Bolt. So what I actually should have done what I actually should have done is before I Force of Willed, I should have cast Brainstorm. I just had this realization now. The third time recording the video, I have the realization now, right? Like imagine you do this Brainstorm, you still have double force in your hand. You put back like Corey Seal Cutter with a land on top, and then you untap, you bolt the Emery, then proceed still with force in hand to protect your meltdown. So yeah, that's kind of interesting.
If he wants to do that, and he has not, did he? I think he found a land, right? Yeah, he's found
Yeah, there's 2 fetches there.
a couple fetch lands. So
Redundant cutters going back, and then I think I just float one of the fetches on top with the intent of drawing it.
Let's see here, we're putting back a cutter. Yeah, okay. It's not.
because he already has one cutter
Yeah,
in hand.
that's what I mean. So that's fair.
Yeah.
And is that a bobble? The last card?
You'd
I think
probably
it's a
just get
bobble.
rid of Lightning Bolt because Meltdown's going to take care of the constructs.
Yeah, exactly. Good.
And
good
you
point.
want the additional land. Right?
Unless he's keeping like for another Emery that may come out or something. I don't know.
I was keeping the bolt because I knew that I probably wasn't going to be able to clear every single construct before I died, meaning that maybe one construct would be left over, and the bolt can clear up the last of like the 6 constructs or 4 constructs or whatever it is.
Right.
Or he could want the card on top, so he could just just draw.
Yeah, just draw. Yeah, yeah.
Just
Again,
draw right
don't have to
now.
fetch if you don't need to fetch.
Yeah.
Don't need to fetch.
Like it looks like we're in such a bad spot here, right? But Meltdown is such a powerful Magic card.
Go to 3. Go to 2.
Okay, Wilson takes another 2 damage. Goes 13. Makes another construct.
Yep, and we're
Oh,
gonna.
is this
Oh yeah,
sniffle?
in case of a needle. Probably in case of needle again,
Oh,
just
okay,
to
yeah.
play around the needle. Possibly if he fetches.
Yeah.
He's like, does he have needle? Does he have needle? Does he have needle?
Well, I mean, he doesn't keep.
Yeah, if he has the needle, I can just not fetch, draw my other fetch, then Meltdown for 1 the needle.
I don't care about needle because there's a there's
Oh, the
another
meltdown too as well. Well, you'd have
Wilson's sequencing here is very nice.
to have 2 lands, right, for meltdown on 1 for the needle.
Yeah.
So Wilson makes a dude.
Yes, yes.
right?
But that's if
Right.
Wilson's cognizant enough to. Well, he might have another fetch land on top. That's a different.
Oh,
than
right.
Wizzy Rainforest,
I
right?
think there was a flooded strain on top as well. So yeah, good point. But again, if unless I'm mistaken, I don't see a needle in Wilson.
Grabs Aether Spell Bomb. That can bounce a blocker.
His deck. He has no
There
needle.
is it on the sideboard.
Oh, it's in the board. Okay.
So he
He
so
coulda
he
brought
puts
it
a
in.
Nile Spellbomb just for additional draw. I
Aether
suppose.
Spellbomb.
Oh, sorry, Aether Spellbomb.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's in the main?
Yeah, that's in the main.
Good to know.
Surprised he didn't.
And there's a bobble.
Drops
okay.
another
Just construct
bobble.
The one that can attack.
Drops an Otawara.
Oh, land for turn.
my God,
Make another.
nice.
Makes
spell.
another construct. So like look at this, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5/5 constructs. He's going to attack me for 5, put me to 13. And then he's going to have 3 5/5s out that are virtually 7/7s because he can make another construct and get another card off the other saga on his turn. And then he's also got the Aether Spellbomb to bounce a potential blocker. So if I just like slam a Murktide here, he bounces the Murktide, and then gets me for lethal. So he's setting up like he's just put me like out of nowhere, right? I'm just all of a sudden on a turn 2 clock, and that is like, I mean, I really like the way that Wilson played this turn. It is good against every single card but Meltdown, and the fact that he made the construct now to push an extra damage. The second construct now means that he couldn't make that second construct in my end step, which is very good for me. So he's trying to maximize damage this turn, where maybe he wouldn't have even had to. Like maybe he can just attack for 4, put me to 14, and then in his end step make another construct. So this might have been like a little aggressive because he's playing directly into the Meltdown, which I do have. But if I don't have Meltdown, like I don't know how I survive, right? Like Meltdown's the only card that saves me in this spot, as far as I'm aware. Especially given that he's overextended.
Construct.
I'm surprised if he's doing this. He's not going for the Lava Spur Boots just to go max damage.
That's for 5 damage, right? Yeah.
Because this is.
I think he gets this for the blocker next turn, but I guess the Lava Spur Boots would have done it. But maybe he doesn't quite have enough mana to do everything.
13 all.
So by getting Lava Spur Boots, he's like giving up on an extra construct.
This is gonna be painful, dude.
That's gonna hurt.
He's gonna lose.
So yeah, I just draw the fetch land. I want 3 lands now because I have a cutter in hand. So if I draw another 1-drop, I can go cutter plus 1-drop post meltdown.
A lot of stuff, and then he won't be able to.
Yeah, there's a second fetch.
He won't be able to draw a card.
Going to 12. Yeah.
Will be able to draw a card from the spell bomb.
Uh,
It's paying the mana to bounce,
yes,
right?
yeah.
And it's free to draw. Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. Well, isn't it when you bounce you also draw?
Oh,
I keep forgetting what these. Oh, there's so many baubles now. Ooh,
Meltdown.
Yep, that's he's gonna crack the bauble.
yeah. I think he did that kind of prematurely, but well,
We'll
never-
confirm Aether Spellbomb here while the board's getting annihilated.
oh, okay.
Reveals my lightning bolt. The lightning bolt is there to pick up the last construct.
Yep. So he didn't activate or anything.
Yeah, I believe it's it's 1 mana to crack it to draw a card. Run generic. The blue is just the
Oh,
bounce,
okay,
right?
okay,
I just can't remember
okay.
if it was because I was gonna say if you didn't draw a card, then what are we
So
doing?
So here's the first of a couple of mistakes that I'll make to close out this game. Wilson goes to make a dude, and
Make his
Yep.
construct.
Yeah,
That's probably going to be lightning bolted.
fetching from Scott's on the Scott's going to 11.
I just fetch and bolt it, but there was no bloody reason to do that because I have a Murktide Regent in my hand, and by bolting here and fetching, he just goes for the Soul Guide Lantern, clears my entire graveyard, and now I can't cast my dragon to seal out the game. Which is like really, really bad for me. I couldn't have cast the dragon anyways, but I could have at least had land plus instant in my graveyard, right? So all I have to do is I let the search trigger go. I let him eat my graveyard, and then I bolt his construct. So I think it's correct to fetch in response here, but I don't think it's correct to bolt. So I'm not sure. I just didn't think that one through enough.
And bolting the construct before the searching is resolved.
But this is how we learn, right? These little errors like this. You notice that you did that, and then maybe next time you don't do that.
Yes.
Education.
Yes.
Right. Or is he? Yeah, I'm assuming he's bolting the because contract's not in place.
And then Murktide's
Yep, online, due for the search.
Yeah. So I wonder what he'll search for. Because that last turn, if he wasn't searching for a lot, okay.
So now you know Murktide has to be there somewhere. Like, there's no way you don't think
He
it's
must-
there.
he must crack it now.
Yeah. So he's gonna exile a random. So just in response, just crack the spell bomb. Yeah, just get rid of it. Boop. Makes
Yeah.
sense. See ya. No, it doesn't matter. It's all gone. It's all gone, Scott.
Whole
Just get it.
thing. Get it out of
Okay,
there.
Fine. Here we go.
Okay. Wow, this was quite the grind fest.
Yeah, and
Corey
there's
Steel
the
Cutter.
cutter into a
Oh
Tameo
my
trigger,
God,
make a
that's
1/1,
really
which is a
good.
2/2.
Yeah, I mean, there's the monk
Yeah,
That's
coming down on
Wilson
like
goes to
turn 9 or something.
9.
999.
Turn.
and this.
Oh no. What do you find? Nothing. Pass the turn.
Yeah, I think the lava spur boots probably would have been the better find.
Instead of the
Instead
spell
of
bomb. Is
s-
there spare boots in the main? That's right. I forgot
So I've got Spellbomb plus Murktide in hand.
to catch that.
Pretty
Yes,
sure
there
there-
is spare
yeah.
boots. Yeah.
Maybe he bordered it out, but
Maybe.
lava spur boots would have taken him down to at least he put him down to at least 2 life.
Yep.
Go for the
goes to
attack.
Yeah, for the
Seven and make a clue.
for the ultimate damage, right? On those constructs. Yeah.
Draw.
It's possible he took it out. I mean, I think you might want to keep it in because of the
The ward.
I top decked a Dragon's Rage Channeler off of my clue token, and now I can make a post-combat monk with my bauble while also drawing another card, which I quite liked.
exactly, for the lightning bolts, they're coming around.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Trigger, second spell, make another 1/1. So this one's tapped. He's gonna equip the new one. Quick trigger the Dragon's Rage Channeler. Keep it on top. Solid card must
Mhm.
be.
It was a Ponder, I believe.
So no delirium, but it's still fine because it's what 3/4 damage.
Take a look at
The
Wilson's.
top card.
He shows me a Chalice of the Void here, and I'm like, oh, I just kept my Ponder on top. Great.
Look like a chalice. But we'll see.
Draw an upkeep.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. This has been like the amount of action Scott had in his opening hand was just
Yeah.
ridiculous. He had everything, all the blast, all the force of wills, the meltdown he eventually found. It's just like, yeah,
Yeah, that was just too much hurdle
Yeah.
to overcome.
Chalice on one.
Chalice on
And
one
just in
in.
Case, yeah.
Too
So
late.
yeah, which leads to the party.
Then I just make a comedy of errors here, but it doesn't matter.
Scott supposed to, yeah, Scott drew a card already. So,
So I think I draw fetch land for turn. I have Ponder in hand. And so the first thing I'm thinking here is like, okay, I can throw the Ponder into the Chalice, pump my monks, bin then I have fetch land, and I think that I'm like one short of jamming Murktide to double spell off of the monk tokens to make another monk to win the game for the extra 2 damage. And then I also screw up because I could have had Delirium before combat as well here, but I'm just completely dumb. So just watch me make a bunch of mistakes, but still win. Yeah, we can learn from these errors, but always double check the casting cost of things. Remember that when there's a Murktide in hand, you still have a Surveil trigger off your Dragon's Rage Channeler, so on and so forth.
I believe like if he plays 2 spells or even one. Yeah, I believe if he plays 1 spell, the game's over.
it'll be 2, 3, 4.
This is just like pathetic on my part. I almost feel embarrassed sharing this, but it's already public, and I don't care. I've made dumber plays probably on my channel.
He doesn't have Delirium, unless DRC
no,
doesn't have Delirium.
he only has the bobble and if
Okay.
he
Okay.
like
Ponder, monk triggers,
Delirium, perfect amount of everything to if he does that, then we're good. There's the instant
bin
there's sorcery from
bolt,
Ponder.
Yeah.
So he has to cast
Ponder to the
what?
bin off the Chalice, and then all I would need to do here is play the fetch land that's in my hand, crack it, and I have Delirium, and he's dead.
Play a land, find a land off the top.
So
basically.
there is a prowess trigger. So
But
yeah,
instead,
so prowess trigger. Oh
yeah,
right, and the
then
prowess.
Ponder needs to resolve because what?
Ponder can't resolve because of the Chalice, and I don't know what I was thinking. I could have literally played Polluted Delta, cracked Delta, have 4 cards in my graveyard, tapped 3 Volcanic Islands, jammed Murktide Regent, created a monk. That's like play number 1, right? Another monk, which is 7 damage. Or I could have just played my fetch land, cracked it, pumped my Channeler to 2, plus 2 to 3, which is also 7 damage. 2, 4, 7. I do none of those things. Instead, I attack for 5, put my opponent to 2, I then cast a Murktide in the second main phase and make another monk.
Ponder has not resolved.
I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches for me, but this was like really bad. Like I really should have just paused. I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't know what I was thinking. I just wasn't thinking at all, I guess. So yeah, we do still win this game, but this was like missed lethal 2 ways. And the fact that I failed to find it both ways, and it was quite simple to find lethal is kind of pathetic, but what can you do, right?
I guess
There's a lot going on in these games of Magic, for sure.
He felt like it. What? But
yeah, this is me just being like, wait a minute. I was like, I could have done everything.
Is he killing his opponent?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So he didn't resolve Ponder. What?
Okay, so how much damage is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was 6 damage, right? So Wilson's at 1.
No, but he
didn't finish the Ponder
he has
either.
a land, so he had Delirium. If you play
I did have Delirium if I played the land. I don't know what I was thinking.
land pre-combat.
Yeah, he would have won.
So yeah, he would have won, but then so he didn't resolve Ponder, and then okay.
And
I mean, it's a winning situation to begin with, anyways.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter, but it's just.
And I could have won also if I just played the Murktide before combat too.
Resolve Ponder.
Yeah, Ponder hasn't resolved.
And I'm just like, I don't know why.
Won.
That's what I'm saying here. I'm like, I don't know why I didn't do any of this pre-combat. I like realized my mistake right away. He's laughing, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
because like I mean, look at this, right? Like now everything's just in my point.
It could have been a dead, but I think in the end doesn't.
I like to play with my food.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Oh, never mind. Ponder. There's a Chalice on 1. There's a Chalice on 1.
Oh,
stupid us. Stupid us.
You know, I'm still stupider than both of you because I may have known about the Chalice, but I certainly missed lethal twice.
all We're having too much fun.
Stupid ass.
I'm also having fun though.
It's okay. I mean, it resolved
Yes, yes.
just in a countered way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it, right? Oh
But
my
then,
god.
but then, if he had the land, he should have just played the land first and then attack.
Yeah, and then had to
and then
clear him
do their-
anyways, because then it would have been
their-
game
yeah.
without having to make a Murktide.
Yeah,
Right, Murktide was just like salt to
Yeah.
the wound essentially.
exactly, exactly.
In that state.
Okay. So
Wow,
we
that
were- we
was
were
that
wrong,
was
but,
fast.
yeah.
That was actually pretty fast.
But
I
mean,
know
that's
which
what
one
the-
missed on the round left.
Yeah, I'm just laughing here, just being like, yeah, really miss lethal. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I don't know. That's really funny. I think beyond the last couple of turns, there were like some more questionable decisions in game 2. Game 1, I quite like the way that we played. And yeah, I think that that this deck is sweet. I think that it's freaking amazing that we got to watch some live footage of me playing in paper. You get to see me. I make mistakes in paper just like I do on Magic Online. This is great. But we still got there. Yeah, that is so sweet. I'm so pumped about this. I hope that I can maybe get onto some more coverage because these paper play videos I think are awesome, and I really hope that you enjoyed this segment of this video. In any case, I'm going to sign off again, having now recorded this 3 times, and I'm really hoping that the audio is good this time. I'm going to slot that into my tournament recap video and get that out to all of you. Also, thank you to everybody. We've hit 200 plus subs now, which is amazing. I'm so thankful for that, and I'm going to be recording a video about my introduction and my kind of like experience playing Magic, where it all began and how we got to where we are now. So look forward to that as a kind of celebration video for hitting 200 subs. And yeah, without further ado, we'll get back to the tournament report here. Cheers, everybody. Thank you. And then in round 4, I ended up playing a winning in for top 8 against a very good player named Chris Ha. Chris was playing blue-black tempo, which I believe is the worst matchup for Corey Steelcutter. And Chris's deck, I mean, like, I wish I could just be displaying Chris's deck on the stream, because it is one of the most beautiful things you ever get to see. It's got the, like, everything is foiled, the Mercadian Masked Brainstorms, some beautiful Force of Wills, like foreign black border, dual lands, like everything is just, it's just like chef's kiss. It's a pleasure to play against Chris. He's a great opponent. Game 1, I believe I narrowly got there. I can't remember exactly how it went, but the game concluded with me slamming a Murktide Regent. That is, of course, out of Fatal Push range. So Murktide is one of your best cards against blue-black tempo, because their removal package is not very well equipped to deal with the Murktide Regent. And so I think I just kind of jammed a dragon and kind of played Protect the Queen. The Queen was the Regent, and the Regent got it done. And there was actually a line where I think my opponent, like, they spell bombed me when I had a Murktide Regent out. And then it like pumped the dragon a little bit more. So they were trying to, like, I think deny a second Murktide for coming down, or maybe shut off like possible Delirium for channelers and also Unholy Heat. So like the play like makes sense, but I think they forgot that that I just had like 3 random instants and sorceries in my graveyard. And so when they did that, they're like, oh man, like I screwed up, and they scooped it up to my like 9/9 dragon or whatever it was. Game 2, I remember being like a crazy long grindy game, and I lost it. I think he had like 3 Orcish Bowmasters out eventually, and I just like had like a Tameo that was like, I just couldn't flip it because I would die to brainstorming into the, or like drawing cards into the Bowmasters, and like my clues did nothing, and I was like treading water, and he had a Kaito down, and then I remember like flashing in a Brazen Borrower in end step and equipping a Corey Steel Cutter to it so it wouldn't die to like a Bowmaster in a future turn, and like killing the Kaito. But eventually I was just ground into the dirt and lost to the better deck, in my opinion. Like, this matchup is very hard. It's a struggle to try to figure out how to beat blue-black tempo. And so I lost game 2, and then we went to a game 3. We were deck checked this round, so we had like a 15-minute time extension, and by the time we got to game 3, a round had like officially ended, and so everybody was kind of gathering around watching this match unfold, and I just played so poorly. I don't even know what I'm thinking. I had what was initially like a pretty solid hand. It was like Dragon's Rage Channeler, Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat, and maybe like a Ponder with some lands. I was on the play. I like jam my DRC. I start like attacking. But I start getting worried about like my DRC dying to a Bowmaster. All these people were gathered around. I felt like they were all waiting on us and I wanted to rush. And so I just made this like super aggressive play, which in retrospect I should not have made. I think it was on my turn 3. I went like bolt your face to hit Delirium off the Channeler to put like a 9-point swing on my opponent. But then it left me with only 2 Unholy Heats in hand. And they had like a Tameo and a Nethergoyf. And I remember just being like, okay, like this might be enough to get me past the finish line. But what I failed to like appreciate there was that if they just push Dragon's Rage Channeler, I'm up Shit's Creek without a paddle. And so I like double bolted them, like put them to like 7 or something with a Dragon's Rage Channeler attack. And then I Unholy Heated a Nethergoyf and Tameo, and then they pondered into Fatal Push, killed my Dragon's Rage Channeler, played like 2 more Nethergoyfs, and just fucking put me into the dirt. And so I don't know, there was a few lessons to be learned there, right? Like play more patiently. Don't let your opponents or like all the folks watching, gathering around make you feel as though you need to be rushed or make an aggressive or bad play. So I basically just threw that game, I think. I'm not confident I would have won if I just held my bolts, but I certainly would have survived a little bit longer and had a little bit more purchase going into the late game with these bolts. So yeah, like eventually, like I ran into nothing. Then I just started drawing like lands and Force of Wills. And like it was again like one of these like aggressive plays, right, where you put yourself to a very particular kind of card in your hand, namely 2 Unholy Heats, and then you just don't draw any more Ponders or Brainstorms. You just start drawing like lands and like Force of Wills with no blue card, and it just feels bad, man. That's all I can say. So I got crushed by Chris Haw in the last round. Chris went on to make it then to the finals of the tournament. You can watch him play against Boston on lands in the finals, I believe, on the by visiting the link to Lazy MTG's channel, where you can watch the whole tournament if you like. So I was put out of top 8 contention there by losing to Chris. Then I went on to play against Sneak and Show in the final round, and I basically, I don't know, I just had a bunch of counter magic and some creatures, and Sneak and Show just could not put the screws to me. I just had too much interaction. I think this deck plays very well against Sneak Attack, right? Like they were on Sneak and Show too, so like the Hydroblast and the Pyroblast come in, the Force of Negations come in, and you just kind of hide out, like just jam that Channeler turn 1, start attacking, counter everything that they have, and Bob's your uncle. And so yeah, that was good enough. I think I won against Sneak and Show. I won in 3. The first game, I believe they just had, I didn't know what they were playing, and they just had like the turn, I think it was like the turn 2 Ancient Tomb Show and Tell Atraxa, and I was like, yeah, I'm dead. But then I won games 2 and 3 because I just board in like way more counter magic than they can handle, and I've got a fast clock, and I'm pressuring the mana with Wastelands. So that was the first day. So I ended up 3-2 in this tournament. And overall, I thought the deck was pretty sweet. I learned that I did not like using Urza's Bauble in my deck, and so I wanted to remove that for the tournament the next day in Kitchener, which went a little bit better. And so we're just going to pop, I guess, back to this screen again and take a peek at what I decided to run on the Sunday event. So 3-2 in the first one was good for 11th out of like 30 something players, I think. There's another player there, Boston, who's one of the better players in Toronto, has been doing very, very well in the Legacy of the North League. Boston has been playing this like really cool cutter deck, and Boston was kind enough to share their list with me. And this is Rug Cutter. And I got like really excited when Boston started explaining their deck. The only reason they were playing lands on the weekend because they lent their Corey Seal cutters to a friend who was playing in the Pro Tour down in Vegas. So they were just like jamming lands on the weekend, and they won both events playing lands. It was like the kind of Sprouts version of lands from what I recall, like the main deck Disruptor Flute. So really lean, like pedal to the metal, mostly mono green action. But Boston has been experimenting with Rug Cutter and recommended that I give it a shot. Shared his list with me, and Rug Cutter is basically just Izzet Cutter, but instead of playing one Urza's Bauble or two Preordains, the Preordain and the Spell Pierce, we've just like cut those cards to play 3 copies of Questing Druid and a 19th land in Tropical Island. Why would you want to play Questing Druid? Why would you want to clunk up your mana base a little bit more by adding another land? I actually think the mana base gets better, first of all, by playing the Tropical Island. So Boston thought it was an error that a lot of these 18 land Izzet Cutter decks are playing Thundering Falls as one of their primary colored sources. Historically, Delver decks have always played 14 untapped blue or red sources in order to guarantee or like increase the odds to the best of your ability to be able to play your like 1-drops on turn 1. And playing Thundering Falls in your deck actually makes that those 14 lands is like it deviates from that like trend, which is like pretty locked into our habits of action. And so by adding green, we actually get to have a 19th land, which restores the having 14 untapped lands to be able to play your 1-drops consistently on 1. Questing Druid's also sick because it allows you to go up on cards through a Bowmaster. Orcish Bowmasters, the blue-black tempo matchup, I think is the worst matchup for Izzet Cutter. It's the only thing Cutter I think really needs to solve, and that's just because of the Tarmogoyf problem, which has been kind of plaguing Cutter this whole time. Maybe that one way that you can beat blue-black tempo, though, is to actually go up on cards, and being able to go up on cards through a Wasteland is like really, really good. Through a Bowmasters is really, really good. And so the idea is that you actually treat the Cutter deck as more of like a patient mid-rangey deck that has certain aggressive starts with your Dragon's Rage Channelers, but actually leverages Questing Druid to go up on spells and continue to trigger your Corey Seal Cutter into the late game. So like you can go like end of turn Questing Druid, untap, like play a land, play another spell, trigger your Cutter, and then on the following turn you can just like fetch your Trop, play the Questing Druid as your first spell of turn, and then play a second spell in conjunction with the Questing Druid to trigger Cutter again. And so this card, like, I think plays very, very well with Corey Seal Cutter. And I was initially thinking of Corey Seal Cutter in my head as being a replacement for Questing Druid, right? It's a good 2-drop that you can play in your deck. That means you don't need to play green anymore. But it's possible that this whole time, right, we've just been kind of wrong in disregarding Questing Druid in this strategy. I actually think Questing Druid's really, really cool. Boston showed me their list, and I thought to myself, this seems sick. I want to give it a go on Sunday. And so I got home. I placed an order to Chimera Games in Kitchener, which is where the next 1K was, to pick up 3 Questing Druids. Opened up my Glarb commander deck, pulled out my Tropical Island, and made these adjustments. So you're basically just trimming Preordains, the 5th Bauble, the Spell Pierce, and 1 Murktide for 3 Questing Druids and 1 additional land, going to 19 lands. And I was very, very excited about this. The sideboard, we've gotten a Braid, which is different from the last list. It kills Corey Seal Cutter, also kills Tamiyo's, a bunch of other cards. I wasn't playing Price of Progress in the deck, actually. I swapped this out for an Echoing Truth. I wanted it to be a second Brazen Borrower, but I kind of knew that, like, I needed something in the deck to fight lands because I knew it's a bad matchup, and I knew that I also like really wanted to try to beat Boston if I played against Boston, to try to like stymie his point progression. And so I was like, let's play a second Brazen Borrower because that also answers Barrogoyfs. But then Chimera didn't have the Brazen Borrower. None of my friends had an extra one on them because they were all playing their own, and so I just picked up like a 50-cent Echoing Truth and threw it in, and we actually got to use that to effect at one point throughout the day. But yeah, so this was the list then that I played on Sunday, and I finished third. We actually had less players come out. Usually there's about 30 to 40 players at these Chimera events, but it's the dead of summer. There's a ban coming up next week. People weren't like that excited, about the legacy format right now. So we only had like I think there was only 15 players in this event on Sunday, but there were some very solid players there, and we ended up doing a cut to top 4 rather than a cut to top 8. So I'll just give a quick rundown of the matches. Round 1, I played against the other master on the Toronto scene, Conrad. Conrad is another killer. So I'm in third on the points list in the Legacy of the North. Boston's in first. Conrad's in second. And Conrad was on Blue Black Reanimator. And so, bright and early in the morning, sleeving up this rug deck I'd never played before, get paired against Conrad in round 1. I'm like, oh man, like this is gonna be quite something, isn't it? And so basically, I don't remember exactly how the matches went. I think game 1 he crushed me. There was like he goes turn 1 polluted Delta pass. I play my own Delta and I fetch to ponder. And in response to my fetch, he fetches, then plays Entomb with my fetch on the stack. And I look down at the days in my hand and I'm just like, oh my God, like I fucked up so hard. I shouldn't be casting Ponder here. Like I just need to play my fetch and pass. You just can't let them have that window to play around days. And Conrad, of course, being a master of the game, was able to recognize that this is precisely the moment I can play around at least 4 pieces of interaction by putting my Entomb on the stack right now. And so that is what he did. And put an Atraxa into the bin, and then played a Reanimate around days on the following turn again. I think I did find a Force, but he had Force back to protect it, and Atraxa came down, and Bob was his uncle. There's nothing I can really do to stop a 7/7 lifelink in game 1 at least. Game 2, I think I had like a cage, and we played like a pretty interesting back and forth game where he had like a bunch of Dothy Voidwalkers and other cards. I eventually ground through them all and killed him somehow, but I don't remember exactly how that game went. I just remember that I won, and I remember thinking it was like extraordinarily close and grindy. And I wish I could remember. Game 3, I also won. He was like struggling, kind of not drawing the best cards. But yeah, again, I'm really sorry. It's been a couple of days. I wanted to record this sooner in the week, but it's now Thursday, and I was like, I better get this done. But I did win game 3 against Conrad. It put me up. I won the match 2-1, and I was starting out the day 1-0. One of the coolest lines that actually just popped into my head, I think it was in game 2 against Conrad. They resolved the Barogoyf, and I was like, I'm fucked. But I was able to get Delirium for an Unholy Heat by casting, like, Legend Ruling my own Tamiyo, which I thought was like a pretty sick line. So like I played Tamiyo into Tamiyo, kill my own Tamiyo, into Unholy Heat your Barogoyf, and then Pyroblast your Tamiyo, and just like set him back to completely nothing. And so that was like one of my favorite plays of the day, using Tamiyo to kill your own Tamiyo to go Delirium to kill a Barogoyf was amazing. Round two, I got deck checked yet again, which was rather annoying. My deck was completely sorted. I sat down against my opponents. My opponent was playing Merfolk, and this was just like the most miserable 2 games that I had played all weekend. I basically just got Brainstorm locked in both of the games and died. And I don't want to say that it's because I was deck checked, but I will say that if you do get deck checked in a paper tournament, like, really spend a lot of time shuffling, because your cards go out of order. and they can, maybe you just got a bunch of lands clumped together and you didn't shuffle hard enough, and you get fucked as a result. But yeah, the game one was like, I think I like brainstormed to try to find a land on like turn two, didn't find a land, got like, and I like flipped a Tameo I played on turn one. And I'm like, oh, maybe the Tameo will take me all the way. My opponent like wasteland in my only Volk. I start ticking up my Tameo, but they eventually find enough lords to like break through the -1 to power. And they put the Tameo to like 6 when I had it at 8, and then they jammed like a True Name Nemesis off a Vial, and I was just like, okay, scoop them up, go to the next game. We go to the next game. I like wastelanded a couple of my opponent's caverns, kept them off kilter, but I was playing on just a Volk after wastelanding. Didn't have any cutters or any like real reason to hold, and I wanted to hit their caverns so that I could like pyroblast and kill and like daze and stuff their threats. Cast a second brainstorm locked myself again, and then just died to a flurry of like 5/5 fucking fish. I don't know. Merfolk really rattles me. Merfolk always seems to beat me. If you remember my Eternal Weekend tournament report, you'll know that it was Merfolk that put me out of top 8 contention at Eternal Weekend last year. That's what put me to the X2 bracket. And so, yeah, I don't know. Something about the fish. They're just always out to get me. And we get a running joke. My other friend like also loses to Merfolk every now and again, and the Merfolk player beat both of us in this tournament. But it's just like sick. It's cool to see a classic legacy deck like still grinding it out at the top tables. But yeah, I just felt that like my deck just did not deliver what I needed, and I just got like completely stuffed. But what can you do? So I was 1-1. And then I played against Cradle Control with Scythecat Cubs in round 3. That match was really cool. I died in one of the games to like a Scythecat Cub that just got like super out of hand. Like I had to like chump block like a 12/12 Scythecat Club with like a 7/7 Murktide. I just get like trampled over to try to like stay alive to find a Brazen Borrower or something, and got like destroyed by the Scythecat Club. That card's awesome. The other two games were like much grindier. I think I played them much better, except for missing some triggers on some baubles. That was kind of bad on my part. But we got there in the end. Anyways, I tightened up. Bolting the Scythecat Club before it gets out of hand, it turns out, is a pretty good way to play the game. And I think I actually had like quite a large druid in that game as well, which was pretty stellar. So I beat Cradle Control. That put me to 2-1. Then I was paired against Mono Red Prison, and I won that match in 3 games as well. I lost game 1. My opponent like let on Magus of the Moon. I like bolted it. They had another Magus. I like unholy heated it. And then I like force of willed their Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And then after all of that, they followed up with Chalice on 1 into Magus again. And then I died to the Magus, to Magus beats. I think like maybe a Broadside Bombardiers came down at some point there too. So I was down game 1. Game 2, I remember playing, like answering enough things and getting a threat down this time where I started countering and wastelanding my opponent out of the game while beating down. I think in game 2 I successfully had like a turn 1 channeler into like a flurry of wastelands, and I'm pretty sure my opponent died with only like a land or something out and not much else going on. Game 3 was one of the, like sometimes you play against Prison and your hand just like lines up like perfectly against your opponent's hand, and this was one of those hands, right, where I had like a Braid, Lightning Bolt, like a Force of Will, like a Cory Seal Cutter, a bunch of things. My opponent goes like turn 1 Chalice. I just let the Chalice resolve. I play a land. I pass. Then my opponent plays like a turn 2 Magus of the Moon. I let the Magus of the Moon resolve. And then I abrade their Chalice in their end step, untap, Lightning Bolts their Magus of the Moon. I then play like a Dragon's Rage Channeler or something like this, and then I Force of Will their like Broadside Bombardiers or their other threat, right? So just like everything that I had, like the fact that you, when you don't have to force the turn one Chalice, you're in like such a good spot against these stompy decks, I feel like. And so yeah, it was just one of those where like I just felt like there was no way that I could possibly lose that game. I just felt like I had the answer to every single thing that my opponent could possibly present to me, and I had them all at exactly the right time, and I had the threat down to kill them. And so that put me to 3-1. Since this was like a weird, smaller event, my fifth round opponent was my buddy Troy, who plays blue-black tempo, but who had just lost to Merfolk in the previous round. And so he was at like 2-2, and he was out of top 8 contention, but I was, so I got the pair down, and I was at 3-1, and so my buddy just scooped to me. I didn't ask him. I didn't even know he scooped to me. Like we sat down at the table. I was like, "Yo, let's like play." Like we were joking about like him having to wait for me to play in the top 4. And I'm like, you should just play me and dream crush me with blue black tempo so you can drive home sooner. But he was too nice of a guy, and so he was like, no, like I'm not putting us both out of contention by potentially beating you. So he scooped. We went to get some pizza, and then I was in the top 4, and I got paired against Cloud Post in the top 4. So the bracket was like, it was me against Cloud Post, and then the other side it was Boston on lands against the Merfolk player. And I had some like crazy games against Cloud Post. Game 1 I screwed up. I don't think it would have really mattered, but I basically like I almost killed my opponent, and then they all of a sudden had enough mana to cast a Ulamog, and they like killed like a Quarry Steel Cutter and a Monk, or like a Quarry Steel Cutter and like a DRC or something like this. But they had this Caracas out that I just kind of like forgotten about, and I had a Wasteland in hand, but it was like so far gone that I just wanted to hold the Wasteland to like feign that I have Force Blue card or something, and then my opponent like attacks, like mills 20 cards from my deck, and then bounces their fucking Ulamog back to their hand and recasts it and kills the rest of my board, and then I was dead. So I could have, like, if I went for the Wasteland on the Ulamog, they would have bounced the Ulamog back to their hand and killed my guys anyway, so I think I still would have lost, but it would have given me a chance, at least, to try to find an out. Like, I think they were at 2, and, like, any bolt would have done it. Game 2, I remember feeling like I played it like almost perfectly, like setting up these like weird like brainstorms and ponders where like Seek the Beast is in the equation. You like float a bauble like 3 cards down because you know that you're drawing Seek the Beast for the next turn. You can Seek the Beast into the bauble to trigger Cutter again, and I just kind of like completely like ran over my opponent with cutters, and just like using my spells in such a way that I could maximize my cutters to the best of my abilities. Then game 3 was like another super close game where I felt like I was super far ahead, but then eventually I died to. There were a couple of pivotal moments. My opponent played very, very well. Their Cloud Post deck was sick. So like using their like crop rotations as healing salves to get like Glimmer Post and like gain like 6 life, you know, when they're like, I'm like beating them down to like 4, then all of a sudden they're back at like 9, and I'm like, oh shit, like this is a lot harder than I thought. There's a pivotal moment where I think I'd Force of Willed my opponents like the new Ugin, and then I had a Wasteland on one of their Cloud Posts, which would have set them back on mana significantly, but they crop rotted in response to my Wasteland for an Echoing Deeps, which then copied the Cloud Post that they sacked to the Crop Rod, basically just using crop rotation to counter my Wasteland. And then they still had the mana, and I had set up a Ponder into like a double Wasteland, where I was like, in a Wasteland your Cloud Post, and the following turn Wasteland you again to like really put you into the shitter. But that crop rotation meant that the second Wasteland was also countered in a way as well, and so it just like got me super hard. And then my opponent found a Bajuka Bog, the one of Bajuka Bog, naturally off the top of their deck, played it, and exiled my graveyard. And my opponent won the game at 2 life when I had a DRC that would have been attacking for the full amount of damage if they didn't find exactly Bajuka Bog to turn off my channeler. And so, yeah, my opponent stabilized at 2 in game 3 and put me into the dirt while Boston was taking down the Merfolk player, then crushed, I assume, in the finals as well, because he ended up winning both of the events. And so I was put out in the top 4, finishing third with my record. And yeah, that was that. It was a sweet weekend. In some of my losses, the cards just didn't break my way, and these things happen. But I had so much fun playing Magic this weekend with Legacy of the North. I'm super excited about this rug cutter deck. I'm gonna record a video with the rug cutter deck coming up. I'm just waiting. I just decided I didn't want to play Magic Online this week with the ban coming up, so I posted the video today of the Blue Black Reanimator League, hopefully sending that deck into the shit can. And then yeah, we're gonna play some more Rug Cutter, I think, next week. And then depending on how the bans shake out, we're also going to start dabbling into some Doomsday again, because I feel like if Oops All Spells gets banned, as I kind of, I don't really care what happens either way, but I feel like recently when the community is loud about something, Wizards just folds. And so if Oops does get banned and Reanimator does get banned, I'm actually quite interested in booting back up the 6 Cycler Doomsday, because the format will be looking for a new fastest deck. And I think that 6 Cycler Blue-Black Turbo Doomsday, potentially with a bug juke for Veil of Summer in the sideboard, might end up being the new quickest gun in the West. But, maybe nothing will happen on Monday. Maybe way more than we think will happen on Monday. We have only to wait and see what will happen, and we will adjust accordingly. But look forward to some rug cutter action for sure, and also some more Doomsday action. If you've been enjoying these tournament recaps, I'll try to do more. Next time I'll bust out the full setup and show you my paper cards, because I enjoy doing that. I didn't know what to do with my hands today. But in any case, thank you for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the live coverage. Whenever I get featured, I will do my best to do like a kind of recap reaction video, how I did here. But in any case, if you've been enjoying the content, feel free to drop a like, drop a subscribe to the channel. That would be sweet. It would help a lot, but no pressure either way. And we'll be back with some new Legacy action and hopefully a new format come next week. Cheers, everybody.